What do you think about NFTs?
Well, I don't think NFTs are ultimately going to have any value. I don't think just having an NFT of a painting.
Let me challenge that thought because I'm going down the NFT rabbit hole in a bit.
Yeah, sure, because you can make some money in it. I know.
No. Let me pick one asset class, okay? Let's talk about NFTs for a second in a way that maybe others haven't yet. Let's just take an industry that Peter will agree appreciates in value. I'm a huge watch collector. I have a very, very, very large collection of watches, including some one-of-a-kind that were made for me by artists like Roger Smith or F.P. Journe. Now, if I have a one-of-a-kind Journe, all right, and let's say I paid $250,000 for it, and it's only one of it, and I walk out of the store today, which is actually happening, it goes up 114% into the auction market. The problem is I can't auction the piece because FP himself knows that I own it. He's still alive. He's the Picasso of watchmaking. And I will be banned in perpetuity from ever buying another FP Journe. However, let's just follow my thought on this. I said to FP, there are at least 5 collectors, some of them in the royal family in the Middle East, that would buy from me and want from me the serialized NFT of that one-of-a-kind Journe. And I can put it up to auction. And you designed the face, FP. You designed the face that they want. It's your design. That's what made FP so valuable. Will you let me make 3 NFTs? One, the serial number will be 000, the second 001, and the third 002. 001 stays with the watch in perpetuity to authenticate it, and Lloyd's of London will insure it because it's got that authenticated FP Journe serial number in the NFT. The other 2 go to auction. And you, if you wish and give me the permission, will participate in perpetuity of as that NFT trades.
Yeah.
Why isn't that going to work? Why isn't that going to work?
Because when you actually owned the original watch, you have the watch. I mean, you can hold it, you can put it on your wrist, you have an actual thing. A picture of a watch is not the same as the watch. And I would be happy, I could, make a copy of your original. And yeah, it won't be the original, but I could have a copy of it on my computer screen and I could look at a picture of that watch. There's a difference between an image of the watch that can be replicated in infinite number of times, and the actual watch itself. I mean, even if I try to replicate the watch by creating, a knockoff of the watch, it's not the same watch. And so that's not the case with these pictures. I mean, even a baseball card, an actual baseball card is not the same as a photograph of that baseball card on your computer.
Peter, you've got to admit there's something called photographic art.
But it's not going to. Yes, but it's not going to have a collector value. You can have posters.
If you want to buy a Mick Rock photograph of David Bowie from 1972, and you want to have that signed by Mick Rock and with the negative, that is worth a lot of money.
But it's the actual photograph as opposed to a digital image of that photograph, which everybody can have.
Just a photograph. You can replicate it all day.
No, but it's not that. Right, but it's not the original one.
So exactly. So what?
Right, but it's an actual thing in reality.
Because when a photographer makes a series of 10 images and signs them, you do not own the only one, but they trade at huge values. I collect black and white photography. When I know it's 1 of 10 or 1 of 16 or 1 of 250, whatever the series is, and the negative is held by the estate and will never print another one, the value of those prints, and remember, there's multiple prints, not just one, goes up.
Right, I know that. And the value is diminished because there's more than one. And if there was only one, it would be worth more than if there's 200 of them, maybe.
It goes up if there's more prints.
Same with the watch NFT.
Well, at some point, the curve has to bend. I mean, if I make a million of them.
Are you saying that you see no value in this?
You're ignoring human nature, though.
No, I look. There could be some small value in maybe the image quality of that one is a little bit greater than what I could just copy, but these are not things that are going to go up in value. What the reason that collector items go up in value is because they're originally created not to be collected, to be used. And what happens is most of them end up being destroyed. They're not well kept. And the ones that survive, years and years later, all of a sudden somebody wants them and they have value. If you produce something specifically to be collected, hey, we're making these things, and then everybody spends all this money based on the fact that it's going to go up in value, it's not going to work. This thing is going to collapse. This again, this is all bubble and malinvestment.
Okay, got you.
We wouldn't be talking about any of this if we had sound monetary policy.
Okay, let's put that aside. The other three guys, NFT mania. Is this the most exciting thing that you guys have seen in a long time? Because I'm looking at the NFT industry. I've never seen an industry explode like this. I've never seen network effects being built like this. Are you guys as excited about NFTs as I am?
Yes, I am. And Peter, it's got to be frustrating to you. I think you're going to find that value will be perceived in a generation that's growing up with NFTs in a way that you couldn't even forecast.
Well, we'll see. One of my neighbors here in Puerto Rico lives here as an artist. Alec Monopoly did a bunch of NFTs and sold them out. I mean, look, people are making money doing it.
One of your neighbors, Jordan Freed, is there. He owns the domain NFT.com, and he's issuing profiles now. I invested in his company. I heard his pitch, and I thought, this is the craziest idea I've ever heard. I want to buy a third of it. I thought it was fantastic. And I'm supporting him now, and he's going to be part of that whole watch initiative. I'm flying over to Dubai. Many of the collectors in the world, Peter, many of the largest collectors, individuals, want their watches cataloged through the NFT process.
Well, that's fine. I mean, if you want to have an NFT of your watch and the NFT goes with the actual watch, and that's different than saying, you get the NFT and that's it. You don't actually have a real watch attached to it. You just get a picture of a watch. That's totally different than saying, hey, this NFT authenticates this watch, and when I sell you the watch, you get the NFT to prove that you own it. But then, how much extra value does that really have? But to say that...
Just interrupt for 1 second, Peter. I obviously think you're very smart, so I'm listening very intently, but there's a gap in your logical thinking process, and that is the irrationality and illogical thinking of human beings. And if you go through 1,500 years of human beings, what Kevin is saying is absolutely true. We collect things, we collect baubles, we associate with things. And if you're going to fractionalize artistic creation and give the opportunity to somebody to own a small piece of a Warhol, a small piece of an FP Journe.
But they own nothing. They don't own the Warhol. They own a small piece of it. But I agree, Anthony. Anthony, I agree with you that are there going to be people dumb enough to buy this nonsense? Of course. Of course there is. The question is, will these idiots in the long run end up making money? Because somebody's going to be left holding the bag.
Raoul, do you remember the 2,000-year-old man with Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner? I got to get Peter to redo that show. I mean, you're like the 2,000-year-old man.
Why? Because I have wisdom? I mean, I understand history.
I feel like I'm back in the cave. We should start painting the cave together. And
NFTs that we see now are the first iteration, right? Art happened to be the first thing that exploded out. Of this is going to be the tokenization of real estate, the tokenization of communities, the tokenization of IP rights, and that's
you get some idiot to buy a digital house and a digital car. I mean, all kinds.
What about NFTs? What about NFTs like video game NFTs, where right now you have video games that have over 1 million players, and through NFT gaming, people in Philippines are making 3 or 4 times more than the minimum wage just playing video games. And that's
I used a kid. I used to play Monopoly, and we had Monopoly money. Just because we had Monopoly money doesn't mean it has value in the real world, because it has value in Monopoly. Yeah, you can have games and NFTs that have value in those games, but just to play the games, you're not going to get rich on these things. This is all a bunch of nonsense. You guys just can't see this.